speaking directly to our sense of loss, but also speaking to our hopes for the future and how out of this tragedy we can come together as a stronger nation.
Emotions continue to run high tonight as a nation mourns the dead and hopes for recovery in that tragic shooting in Arizona. A makeshift memorial is growing tonight outside of the U.S. Capitol. This is the alleged shooter, Jared Loughner, appeared in federal court on murder charges. We're also learning that Representative Gabrielle Giffords, the target of the attack, is in critical but stable condition. Let's get down to the live desk now, and my colleague Suzanne Jiha with more on this. Suze.
Brian, a big concern is what impact is all of this, that massacre in Arizona, the targeting of a congresswoman, having on our members of Congress from West Michigan and elsewhere in the country. 24-hour News 8 political reporter Rick Albin's taking a look at that with all the heated rhetoric and so on and so forth. What's the concern? Are people pulling back? What's happening?
There were some in the political arena that were really quick to start pointing fingers after this violence, saying that what some had said on the other side of the aisle had caused this problem. And there were others who said that there was no place for that type of rhetoric right now. But while none of the lawmakers that I talked to today said that they believed that that was really what caused all of this violence, they said that the toning down of the rhetoric may be a positive result of a tragic circumstance.
All I can say for myself, Rick, is that I will attempt to speak strongly, straightforward, but do it in a respectful way so that people understand where I'm coming from and understand the differences, but in turn be able to work with people who differ from me in a congenial fashion as the days go by.
This clearly, or it seems to be, based on media reports that we've got, is it's kind of a one lone person. It's not because of something you've been hearing on the radio or something you've been reading in the newspapers or seeing on TV. This appears to be someone who isn't really in touch with reality.
Be very cognizant of the perhaps the words that are used, the actions that may cause some folks to take some terrible action, as this young man did in Tucson.
So, will the tone change? Maybe for now. Republicans have already pulled back their plans to repeal health care later this week, but that's only temporary, and that health care debate is going to come back to the floor, and when it does, it's going to be just as heated, just as vitriolic as it has been, because the attitudes haven't changed. So we'll see if there's any long-lasting impact on this. But for now, at least some of those members, Republicans in a retreat this past week, Democrats going into one, are at least thinking about the words they use, and that may be the positive result of a tragic circumstance.
It's true of all of us. We all need to think about the words we use, indeed. But that doesn't mean it incited anybody to do anything.
No, absolutely.
Thanks, Rick, for that report. 24-hour News 8's Ann Schieber is also working this story. She's been digging today about the issue of security involving our elected officials. I know our Congress people have to meet and greet. Right. They've got to press the flesh, as they say. Ann, are we going to see changes?
Well, if they see any changes, it's going to be very subtle because, as you said, being an elected official, part of the job is meeting with the public. And plus, members of Congress run for re-election every 2 years and get back to their districts quite often. Now, Congressman Justin Amash declined to discuss the topic, but we did talk to Representative Bill Huizenga, who told us he and his office have consulted with law enforcement since Saturday and are reviewing practices. Congressman Tim Walberg says it is important not just for him, but his staff and members of the public who greet him. Neither are planning to give up their town hall meetings. Now, to learn more about what happened Saturday, we tracked down former West Michigan FBI agent and Director Gene DeBott, who says it's difficult to know when an irrational person will strike in an open society.
The concern I have is, did other individuals who knew him have any inkling that he was planning any of this? And I suspect that the investigation will flesh that out completely. And that is going to be a big component of what we're all trying to find out right now, what motivated him to do this.
DeBott says that such individuals sometimes plan months, maybe even years planning such attacks. And I asked him whether such complaints came into the West Michigan office. He says very infrequent, but of course they would always check out everything very thoroughly.
Absolutely. We expect them to. All right, Ann, thanks so much. We are going to continue to follow all of the angles of this developing story. Brian Williams will anchor nightly news tonight from Tucson to update our coverage of the shooting, and also he will return to the crime scene with Daniel Hernandez. That's the 20-year-old intern whose quick work may have saved Representative Gifford's life. You can find all of our coverage, including a complete interview with former Congressman Peter Hoekstra. You can see that online at woodtv.com. Brian?